Hi, hello everybody. My name is Claire Bannerman. I'm the roving chef for Scotland for Be for Life. Thank you so much for joining me today for this virtual cooking demonstration for VegFest 2020. So I'm going to take you through some winter warmer dishes that can be found on our website. So I'm going to start off with a creamy leek soup. It's an extra special soup, and then I'm going to finish off by doing a versatile stew which can be batch cooked as a stew and also converted into a soup. So I'm going to start off with our extra special leek soup. So in my pan I'm going to heat some oil. I'm just using some olive oil today. You could go ahead and use vegetable oil or rapeseed oil, that would work just as well. So the ingredients for this soup, there's only a handful of ingredients in this. So I've got a large potato that I've already peeled, and I've got 450 grams of chopped leeks which have been chopped and washed in advance. So 450 grams is around about 4 large leeks. I've got some vegan free from cream cheese, which is the variety that's flavoured with garlic and herbs. So this is a supermarket own brand, free from range that I'm using today. And then I've got my vegetable stock that has been made using marigold bouillon. The dish is finished off with some nice green herbs, so you could use chives. Today I'm using some fresh black leaf parsley. So I'll get my pan nice and warm, and I'm just going to roughly chop my potatoes, so nothing fancy here. So we're just going to roughly chop this. This soup can be blended if you prefer your soups chunky, leave them whole at the end, or if you prefer a smooth soup, go ahead and blitz that down. So we'll add our potato to our pan. So I'm just roughly chopping this down. So we want to saute off our potatoes for about 5 minutes here just to get them soft enough. So I've got my pan on a medium to high heat, and we're just going to let our potatoes soften down there. So as I said, I've got 450 grams of leeks. So leeks can be quite a dirty vegetable, so make sure you give them a really good wash in advance. So I find the easiest way to prepare a leek is to chop off the top and then draw your knife along it lengthways, and then rotate it, and then draw your knife along it lengthways again, and that way you can fan out your leek, and you can give that a really good wash under some cold water. Give it a good rinse, and that way you'll remove any grit or dirt that's in the leek there. So as I said, for this winter warmer special, I'm preparing my creamy leek soup. So I find that soup is one of the things that lends itself particularly well to batch cooking. So particularly in the winter time, it's really good to have a good stock of dishes in your fridge and freezer to get you through the cold winter months. So when I'm batch cooking, I like to use things that lend themselves well to a couple of dishes. So perhaps make a base tomato sauce that then could be converted into a pasta sauce. Add some additional spices, and you could also convert that to a curry sauce, or even add some additional chunky veg and pasta and make it into a minestrone. So when I'm preparing for batch cooking, I like to find some common ingredients so that my shopping list isn't too long and complicated. I like to keep things simple. So my tips for batch cooking during the winter time is to plan and pick your dishes. So as I said, make a base recipe, or even make things that lend themselves well to freezing. So you can check out our website, which is Be for Life, where you will find loads of delicious vegan recipes for you to share. So when I'm batch cooking, two of the dishes that I like to do is our spaghetti bolognese. That is very similar to our chili non carne. So what I like to do is do two batches at the one time. I split it in half, and then I convert one half of the bolognese into the chili non carne by adding the additional spices and then adding off the beans and sweet corn at the end. So you don't need to eat the same thing every day. What I like to do with the chili is it lends itself so well to a variety of different dishes. So it could be a light lunch topped on top of a baked potato, and of course served with rice. We've got some nice recipes for pilau rice on our website, and I really like to accompany the chili with the pilau rice. But also it goes well in tortilla wraps, and you can make burritos and enchiladas with it. But also if you've got leftovers that you want to use up, perhaps you've only got a small quantity left. I like to do nachos, so I just warm up some tortilla chips. I then top that with the chili non carne and then finish off with some vegan grated cheese. So there's loads of great vegan cheeses available now, so I like to use the BioLife Cocoa brands, or even supermarket owned brand vegan cheddar is great for this dish. So once you've planned and pictured dishes and you've got a bit more confident in the kitchen, be a bit more creative, learn to swap out ingredients. So you could substitute broccoli for cauliflower, parsnip for carrots. If you had a red onion or a white onion, you could swap those out for shallots. Also, if you've got red pepper, green pepper, these things can be swapped. But bear in mind you want to have things that have got the same type of texture, but also the same nutrition value. So my potatoes are sizzling really nicely now, they're sweating down. So we just keep them moving about. We just want to soften these off for a couple of minutes. But also I like to do a lot of batch cooking when I've got spare time. So perhaps like it is today, it's absolutely chucking a rain here in not so sunny Glasgow. So give yourself a couple of hours to really relax and enjoy your cooking. And perhaps you've got spare time on the weekend where you can really give yourself the opportunity to enjoy your cooking. So bear in mind that not everybody is a professional chef, so cheating is absolutely fine. So shortcuts, or if you've got like a simple hack or cheat, it's absolutely fine to use. So for example, I really like to use when I'm short for time things like the lazy garlic, chilli and ginger. If I'm making a curry, it can save you quite a lot of time when they're peeling and chopping. It's also good to have a good stock of Thai paste in your fridge and freezer. So you can make that in advance for a Thai curry, or we've got a really nice Thai inspired soup on our website, Be for Life. But if you are buying a jar of Thai sauce, just have a wee look at the ingredients just to make sure that there is no shrimp paste or fish extract in there. These are still going really lovely now, softening off. But also when you're batch cooking, particularly if you're going to be in the kitchen for a long time, have fun with it. Tune in, get some music on, or perhaps you might want to listen to a food-inspired podcast. The one thing that I do as a chef when I'm batch cooking is a mash chop. So if you think that a lot of your ingredients are going to be the same and common across the dishes that you're doing, select them in advance. So you'll probably find that a lot of vegan recipes will contain onion, garlic, potatoes and peppers, these type of ingredients. So you can mash chop these and then portion them out onto trays depending on your recipe requirements, and that will make your production of your batch recipes much more simple and straightforward for you. So a really good tip that all professional chefs will do is clean as you go. If you've got a nice tidy kitchen, things will be much more simple and straightforward. So once you've chopped and peeled all your ingredients, get all your peelings and offcuts into your food caddy and clean down before you actually start to cook. But one thing, once you get a bit more experienced in the kitchen, change it up and learn and get a bit more adventurous and swap out ingredients and try new flavours and spices. So what you might like to do to save time is to cook 2 dishes at the one time. So perhaps you could be doing a soup and a curry or a soup and a rice at the same time, because they will be using your common ingredients. So one thing to bear in mind is always to have a good stock of freezer suitable containers. So get your Tupperware at the ready so that you can portion off things. But don't make the mistake that I did last week. Make sure that you've got plenty of room in your fridge and freezer so that you can store your items. So anything that I'm making will keep in your fridge for a couple of days or will freeze for a few months. But one tip that you should definitely follow is make sure that you've got labels for your tubs. You don't want to go into your freezer and pull out what you think is a chilli, but it's actually spaghetti bolognese, because a lot of dishes that you do that are tomato based are going to look the same. So label things what they are, and also the best before date. So as I said, I've got 450 grams of pre-chopped leeks, and these have been given a really good wash. So we're going to go ahead and saute these off. So 450 grams equates to about 4 large leeks. So we're just going to take about 5 minutes or so just to get these really softened off. Take your time here to develop the flavours. So you can also check out our Facebook page, which is Be For Life. You'll find my colleagues have also done some additional videos that you might like. So Chef Alex, who is based in Manchester, has taken a lovely chocolate cake recipe from our vegan baking guide. So perhaps you've got inspiration for trying some new recipes that go beyond the lockdown banana bread, and check out our vegan baking guide. You also might be new to a vegan diet, or perhaps you're going to look to try the vegan challenge in January, or maybe you're supporting an older vegan. We also have our vegan rescue pack. So the vegan rescue pack outlines what vegans will and won't eat. It also gives you some fantastic recipes to try, but it also gives you some lovely menu planner examples. So also on our Facebook page, Chef Ollie, my colleague who's based in London, he has a taster session for making your own vegan cheese. So if you've ever fancied trying out your own vegan cheese, please have a look at Ollie's video. As I said, that is on our Facebook page, Be For Life. So we're just going to take our time and let these sweat off. And we're just going to cover these. So we're going to let them sweat off, and then we'll cover that and let them really saute down, really develop the flavours for a good 5 minutes there. So I've let my leeks saute off for 5 minutes, and then I went ahead and added my vegan stock. So as I said, I used the Marigold bouillon, and that was 900 mils. So that's been simmering away now, covered for 20 minutes. So we can add in our nice cheese. So just let the lids come off, just to let the steam come out. So as I said, I've got 250 grams of our free from garlic and herb cream cheese. So I've cut myself some nice crusty bread, so I'm just going to go ahead and just take a little bit of that lovely free from cream cheese and just top some of the crusty bread with that. So in the bowl that you have your free from cream cheese, just take yourself a few spoonfuls of your hot soup, and then we're just going to combine that together. So just give that a nice mix. So the cheese and the soup, the hot soup, will start to melt to form a nice creamy consistency. As I said, that's the supermarket own brand free from soft cheese that I've used, that's flavoured with the garlic and herbs, and then I'm going to go ahead and pour that into my soup pan. So we're just going to let this warm through. So that nice creamy free from soft cheese gives your soup a really nice unctuous velvety consistency. It's such a hearty winter warming dish, this is absolutely fantastic. So I'm just going to go ahead and season with a little bit of salt and pepper, so just add that to your own taste. So we'll just add a small amount of salt there. So we're just letting this warm back through again just before we serve. So just do this on a low heat, you don't want your cheese to split out. So we can go ahead and serve now. So as I said, if you prefer a smoother consistency, you can blitz this soup down completely smooth. So just let it cool down first and put that in a food processor or use a stick blender. So there we have our vegan extra special creamy leek and cheese soup. So thank you so much for joining me today, guys. So as I said, I am Chef Claire from Be For Life, and I hope you can hang around for part 2, where I'll be making my versatile stew, which can also be converted into a nice warming soup. So I'll see you soon for part 2. Thanks, guys. Hi everybody, welcome back to part 2 of my Winter Warmers cooking demonstration for Veg Fest 2020. So in this section I'm going to be taking you through our versatile stew, which uses some lovely vegetables. So to start off with, I've got 2 carrots that have been chopped up. I've got half an onion, a large leek that's been chopped and pre-washed, a stick of celery that's been chopped and pre-washed. I've also got 100 grams of red lentils that have been washed as well. So I'm also going to be adding some vegetable stock. So today I'm using 500 ml of that Marigold vegetable bouillon. I'll also be using some red wine. So if you're looking for a red wine and you're looking for a vegan variety, if you check out the PETA website, they've got a list of all the vegan wines that are available. We'll then go on to add some canned tomatoes, some tomato puree. I'll be flavouring with some cloves, some bay leaves, some garlic, some rosemary and thyme. So to start off with, I'm just going to roughly chop down my rosemary. Then I'm just going to take off the sprigs off my thyme, just like so. So to my pan, I'm going to add a small amount of olive oil. So this is our versatile stew recipe that comes from our website, Be For Life. So what I've done in this dish is I've halved the quantity today. So during this section I'll be talking to you about cooking for one. So we'll go ahead and we can add our half onion, our 2 carrots, our chopped leek, and our celery stick. So we're just going to sweat these off. Then I can go ahead and add my chopped herbs. Also going to add my 2 bay leaves. So this is going to sweat off for about 20 minutes to get them nice and soft. So just get your pan on a medium to high heat and just start to sweat these down so you've got really nice colourful veg here. So you could also swap out some ingredients. Again, you could substitute the carrot for parsnip. You could also add some mushrooms. Red peppers go particularly well in this dish too. We'll get that sizzling away nicely. So if you're cooking for one, you might find that you end up with really large portions. So the tips I like to use when I'm cooking for one is I like to use frozen fruit and vegetables, and that way you can just take out handfuls to suit your recipe. So frozen fruit's particularly good if you're doing a breakfast smoothie. Also try some vegan sources of protein. I like to use the Corn vegan range of corn pieces that are frozen are excellent for dishes. Also like to use canned ingredients. So supermarkets are now doing smaller cans that are ideal if you're cooking for one. But also like I've done here is learnt half a recipe. So you might need to make some little adjustments. So this recipe calls for a whole garlic clove, but when I've halved it, I've just taken it with a whole garlic clove. So we're sweating that off nicely. But like we did in the soup, if you're cooking for one, it's ideal if you can batch cook and portion off and freeze dishes, but also cook dishes that lend themselves well to be used as leftovers. So what I'm going to do with this versatile stew, so the stew can be used as a main dish where you can accompany it with pasta, some nice mashed potatoes or some sautéed winter greens. But what we can also do is convert this into a soup, so I'll take you through that at the end. So my friend is only vegan in her household, so what she's recently got is a mini slow cooker, so that makes cooking for herself a bit more straightforward. So our veg is sautéing off nicely here. Nice colourful veg. So I say this is going to take 20 minutes. Just take your time here just to slowly sweat down your veg, and that will give you really nice aromatic flavours and help to soften off. So during the winter time, it's particularly important to get your vegan sources of protein. So what I like to use is black beans. The canned black beans are great if you're doing Mexican dishes, but they also lend themselves well if you're trying out to make some burgers. Also like to use nuts and seeds. So nuts and seeds are so handy. You can pop them on top of porridge and cereals. You can even just snack on them. Also like to use canned chickpeas. They're so versatile. You can use them in stews, soups and casseroles, and you can even blitz them down to make your own hummus. I also like to use mushrooms. Mushrooms are an ingredient that lend themselves well to so many recipes, and they're really good at absorbing all the herbs and spices that you put in. So we're going to be using lentils today. So lentils are a great, really cheap and easy source of protein. I also like to use canned green lentils if I'm making a curry. So my go-to favourite sources of vegan protein are tofu, tempeh and broccoli. They're absolutely perfect for stir fries and Asian dishes. But I also like broccoli, that you could do a vegan broccoli and cauliflower bake. Also broccoli lends itself really well to a nice smooth soup. But if you're looking to change up your dishes and get a different texture, you can swap out quinoa and use that instead of rice and couscous. So that works particularly well. So we're going to go ahead and let these veg sweat down for another 15 minutes or so. So just keep an eye on that and just keep that stirring. You'll find our recipes on our website, which is Bee for Life, and you can also check out our Facebook page, which is Bee for Life. So we're just going to keep that stirring around. So the smell of the rosemary and thyme, along with the sautéed leek and onions, really starting to fill my kitchen with wonderful aromas. So I'm just going to turn the heat down slightly, let that sweat off for 20 minutes. So that's our lovely vegetables been sweating down now for 20 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and chop a garlic. So the easiest way to open your garlic is just to lean on the clove and then just chop off the ends. And what I like to do with my garlic, just to get a nice fine texture, is I'm going to grate it. So I'm going to use the fine side of my grater, so it's not the zesting side, it would just stick to that side. So I'm just going to go ahead and grate my garlic. And that way you'll get a nice fine consistency. And go ahead and add that to the pan. So we're going to sweat this off just for a minute or so. So our remaining ingredients is some cloves. So I'm going to go ahead and add the cloves. This is going to give a nice punchy aromatic flavour to our versatile stew. So we're going for 2 cloves. And we're just going to stir that just for a minute or so. You see all the vegetables have sweated down, they've released all their juices. So I can go ahead and add my 100 grams of my pre-washed lentils. And then my chopped tomatoes that are canned. And then I have my vegan red wine. So as I say, you can find sources of vegan wines on the PETA website. And then 500 ml of vegetable stock. And then the flour to thicken. So I'm going to bring this up to the boil, and I've preheated my oven at 170 degrees or gas mark 3. So this will just take a few minutes to come up to the boil. So once this is up to the boil, I'm going to cover and I'm going to pop this in the oven. So this is a long, slow and low cook. This cooks in your oven for 2 hours. So this is a good recipe that if you've got your oven on, you can do other dishes at the same time. Perhaps you want to try your hand at some vegan bacon, so check out our vegan baking guide and you can pop 2 things in the oven at the same time. So that is our stew coming up to the boil now. So I'm just going to pop a lid on that and then stick that in the oven for So that goes in the oven for 2 hours. So once you've got that in the oven, check it every half hour or so, give it a stir, and you might need to top it up with a little bit more liquid. So we'll be back to finish that off in a few moments once that's cooked for 2 hours. So our versatile stew has been in the oven for 2 hours and all the lentils and vegetables have cooked down and it's become really thick and unctuous. So just to finish this off for extra richness, I'm just going to add a small squirt of tomato puree. And then I've got some vegan Worcester sauce. So when you're buying Worcester sauce, just check that it is suitable for vegans and that it's free from anchovy or other fish extract. I'm just going to add a small pinch of salt and a dash of black pepper. So as I said, this stew is versatile. It can be served in many ways. It's a great accompaniment to mashed potatoes, also goes nice with pasta or some nice wilted down green winter veg. So today I'm going to serve this with some penne pasta. So I've pre-prepared some pasta. I'm just going to ladle some of my lovely stew onto my pasta. So that is my versatile stew served with penne pasta. So as I said, this dish is absolutely perfect for people that like batch cooking or perhaps you're cooking for one. So I'm also going to convert this into some soup. So I'm going to take a couple of ladles off my versatile stew. Then I'm going to add a small amount of hot water from the kettle. And just give that a stir. So it's a really nice way to batch cook and you can convert one dish into two. So that is my versatile stew served with pasta and also served as a hearty, rich, warming soup. So thank you so much for joining me today for my Winter Warmers demonstration for VegFest 2020. Thank you so much.